Hey guys, ready to hear with what I think is the first Christmas episode I have ever done. During this holiday season, we are going to see if we can beat Pokemon Gold with a single Stantler. So, since I was so pressed for time trying to complete my Halloween challenge with Duskull, I am starting this one right after so I can have a solid month and a half to work on this one along with other projects. Because of this, it is such a breath of fresh air to see stats like this. This is the complete opposite of what we were dealing with when it came to Duskull's stats. For starters, we are a non-evolving Pokemon, well, in this game at least. So we have raised base stats that are higher than a starter or first form Pokemon. Not to drag Duskull more, but we are also now rocking solid attack stats. Speed isn't bad either, and we are dealing with our defense stats being our liability for this challenge. They are not horrible, but they are the lowest portion of our stats. But considering the last challenge I did dealt with a Pokemon that had to be at a pretty high level to actually deal serious damage, this should be a nice change of pace. We are also on the flip side when it comes to type advantages. We are back to using a pure normal type, which doesn't add much to mention except we are immune to ghost type attacks, and we are 2 times susceptible to fighting moves. And with being a pure normal type, this moveset is almost as bland as they come. Also, this feels like a Generation 1 moveset with how short this list actually is. We don't have a lot of type variety, and we are sticking with physical attacks here. But like a lot of our other normal types we have seen in these challenges, the TMs are where we see some actual diversity when it comes to move choices. Well, kinda. Earthquake and Psychic could be nice additions to the team, and I know Hypnosis misses often, but with Dream Eater being on the list, we might actually keep that move so we get some extra healing. Look, whether you have gift wrapping, cookie baking, shopping, or maybe instead you are finally able to enjoy Silent Night, I hope you enjoyed this video, and either way, let's get going on this challenge so you can feel a little extra Christmas cheer for the next 45 minutes to an hour. I actually don't really know how long this challenge is going to take. But first, the rules. I can only use Stantler to beat this challenge. I can use other Pokemon for HMs to progress, however. No cheats, glitches, or hacks to advance, and I'm going to be continuing the trend of not using any items in battle, only held items given to Stantler before the battle starts. Let's begin. Okay, so like all Pokemon challenges, we need to get our starters and then officially start the challenge. I used the Pokemon randomizer to replace Chikorita with Stantler so we could have Cyndaquil for our rival. The reason for this is because, well, I don't really have one. It is always hard to pick a starter for your rival when your own Pokemon is normal type. There really isn't a clear-cut option to go with here. Speaking of which, first look at our Stantler, Randolph. I feel like that is a very reindeer Christmassy name. Anyway, this thing is as normal as they come, considering our only move here at the beginning of the game is Tackle. Also, stats are hard to gauge at the start since they are all usually small numbers, but starting out with an attack stat of 15 feels like a great thing to have at the start of a challenge. And honestly, having all the stats basically in the low teens is a blessing. Because of this, I didn't really battle against wild Pokemon as we made our way to see Mr. Pokemon like I usually do, because I'm not worried about needing a level lead for the first battle with our rival. And I was right to think so. 3 tackles take Cyndaquil down. Even though it used a Leer, its tackle barely did a thing to us. Not to rush the beginning of this challenge, but we also jump into battling Falkner as soon as we get to Violet City. The main reason for this is because at the time I thought if we went to Bellsprout Tower, we would have to deal with some monks that would have a Ghastly, and since we only have a normal attacking move, I didn't want to deal with Struggle this early in the challenge. Besides, I feel like we could handle Falkner at our current level anyway. Pidgey's first tackle missed, so after 3 of our own tackles, we are moving on to Pidgeotto, and we only lost 4 health. Pidgeotto does hit a little bit harder with Gust, but we are still holding on really well with Tackle. We stay ahead of the damage output, and sure, it might have looked a little scary with us winning this battle with only 6 health, but we had the lead the whole time, so it wasn't too bad. First gym badge down, and we now have the TM for Mud Slap, and I give this to Randolph immediately so we can deal with ghosts in this challenge. Of course, I am reminded as we go through Bellsprout Tower that none of the monks here actually have a Ghastly on their team. Oh well, at least we got some more levels and we now have the HM Flash, so that's good. Mud Slap is still useful in the early game when it comes to the hikers in Union Cave, which you have heard me say 100 times if you've seen any of my other Generation 2 challenges. Also, while we are here, I also go a little off the beaten path to get the TM for Swift. We don't technically need this move, but it is stab, it never misses, and it's always nice to have some Christmas stars on your side. We get out of Union Cave easily enough, and defeating Team Rocket and Slowpoke Well was an easy task as well. So we don't really have anything else to do in Azalea Town except get our second badge from Bugsy. It shouldn't be surprised that Metapod and Kakuna are not a threat here. We are still hitting pretty hard here in the early game due to being a non-evolving Pokemon with decent attack stats. Both of these guys go down after a couple hits, and they just wasted their turns by using Harden. Scyther immediately starts the battle with Fury Cutter, and he is sticking with that move so it can build power. Our first Swift almost brings it to half health, so I figured if we used one Leer, the next Swift should be strong enough to take Scyther down. And I probably was correct, but that Swift technically landed as a critical hit, so we won't really ever truly know. But we now have our second badge, and we can move on to Ilex Forest and Goldenrod City, but not before having another battle with our rival. Again, I am happy we have Mudslap since we first have to deal with Ghastly. I feel like this move is hitting much harder in this challenge compared to my other ones, considering it almost one-shots Ghastly. All it does in response is waste a turn with Spite, so we knock it out on the same turn with the same move. Next up is Zubat, which we can easily one-shot with Swift. Quilava is next out, and we are sticking with Swift, especially since Quilava's first move is spent trying to lower our accuracy with Smokescreen. Yeah, that won't slow Swift down at all. One more round of Christmas stars and we win this battle easily. Now, just like talking about how I always use Mudslap in these challenges because it helps with the ghosts and rock types in the early game, I also usually mention the fact that I get the team for Headbutt while we are traveling through Ilex Forest. But this time we actually don't need to bother because we will be learning the move Stomp soon. This move hits pretty much just as hard as Headbutt, and it also causes flinching. This move would be really useful when it comes to our upcoming battle with Whitney since her Miltank has rollout, but I think we can still handle this battle at this level, and besides, we do have Hypnosis to stall it if we needed to. Clefairy actually does a good roll with Metronome this time as it hits us with Psychic. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but usually we see a lot of dud moves when this thing uses Metronome. Miltank is actually faster than us and starts rollout right away. That's okay though, because I decided to go ahead and cut to the chase by putting her to sleep with Hypnosis so rollout wouldn't grow in power. After that, we just spam Swift to take chunks of Miltank's health away each turn. Miltank never wakes up, and we successfully won the battle with this strategy. Now obviously we have a pretty smooth start, and most of you know what lies in store for us as we keep trekking in this challenge. Morty and his ghosts. Well, the 3 ghosts we are going to be visited by this challenge are also part poison, which means Mudslap is still the way to go, except for the fact that it is a really weak ground move and the game is finally catching up to it and showing how bad it is offensively. We have to battle all the trainers at Ecruteak City Gym to get to Morty, and even if we didn't, I would still make sure to battle them anyway for the experience. And even after battling all of them, I still didn't feel like we were ready for Morty, so I went to the Burnt Tower so we could battle our rival for the experience too. This battle is also more practicing with Ghosts, considering he has a Haunter now. Mudslap is the only attacking move we have, but I do try to play the battle safe by attempting to put Haunter to sleep with Hypnosis. The move misses, and we get subjected to Curse right after. So this is a pretty crappy start to the battle. With his health being at half thanks to Curse, I really thought one Mudslap would be enough to take Haunter out, but it actually hangs on with just a tiny sliver. Spite lowers our Mudslap power points, but that doesn't really scare me. We just need another Mudslap to take Haunter down. Magnemite is out and we are looking a little rough being at half health. Thankfully, Mudslap lands as a critical hit one-shot, meaning we have one less Pokemon to deal with and no Curse damage is tacked on to this turn. Zubat is immune to Mudslap, but Swift deals another one-shot, so we're still in the green when Quilava comes out. Sticking with Swift was still the right choice, but it hangs on and deals an Ember. That plus the Curse damage means we only have 10 health remaining, but we still get a chance to attack, and another Swift ends this battle for good. Still not feeling ready for Morty, but I decide that now is the time to see how we really look against him in this challenge. The verdict though, is not good. We all know that part of this battle focuses on luck, and we are not doing well in that department. Curse is unavoidable like always, and Hypnosis misses enough times for it to really screw us over. Meanwhile, Morty's Pokemon seem to land Hypnosis whenever they need it. One silver lining is that Mudslap is still hitting much harder in this challenge than it has in previous challenges, but we almost needed to deal one shot so we can avoid the Curse damage from stacking up or being put to sleep with Hypnosis. I know it might take a lot of leveling up to get to this point where Mudslap deals a one-shot, but I still take a break from battling Morty to face all the trainers at the Olivine City Lighthouse for a few more levels. By the time we get back to facing Morty, we are at level 30, and we also must have gotten some luck on our side while we were grinding since we put Ghastly to sleep immediately right out of the gate. No curse here, of course. The one-shot Mudslap kind of made the hypnosis not necessary, but still. Haunter is next out, and our hypnosis misses, and then we get a curse put on us, so we were kind of back to where we were in the previous battles. At least we were able to knock it out with Mudslap from there. Gengar is still a threat, so I just stick with going on the offensive. The accuracy drops from this move also helps his hypnosis miss. Since we are normal type, he has to use hypnosis and Dream Eater to take us down, but he can't really do anything if he can't put us to sleep. We might be taking curse damage each turn, but we are still taking chunks of Gengar's health out each turn, and eventually it goes down. One more Haunter to go, but this exchange goes just like the other one in this battle. We stick with Mudslap, take curse damage, and Haunter uses Mean Look, so it goes down easily from there. I'm not sure if that grinding was really necessary because I feel like we had a lot of luck go our way with the hypnosis actually landing, and our opponent's accuracy luck was terrible with the Mudslaps we hit them with. We probably could have beaten Morty at level 28 if things went our way like they did in that battle. But since we have already taken care of the Olivine City Lighthouse portion of the storyline, we can move straight on to fighting Chuck. Now, I should be worried about facing him since he is the fighting type gym leader and we are the pure normal type opponent, but this guy is rarely ever a real threat. Of course, one of the trainers in his gym almost beat us thanks to Hitmonchan getting extremely lucky and freezing us with Ice Punch. If it wasn't for the fact he stupidly used a Fire Punch, we would most likely not have thawed out and squeaked out a victory. Stay warm during this holiday season and don't let the cold get you. But the battle with Chuck went way better for us. Primeape flinches with a stomp and then goes down from a rapid swift. Randolph and Plyrath both waste a turn by missing hypnosis, but on our second attempt we get ours to land. The sleep status though is very short-lived since Chuck uses a full heal right away, but that's okay since we were able to land 2 consecutive stomps to bring Plyrath to red health, and the second one causes another flinch, so we easily wrap up the battle from here. Okay, sure, we might just be in a gym that has a type advantage against us, but Jasmine will most likely be a problem for us. Now, the first, yes I said first, battle went really well until the end. Mudslap does a lot of damage to the Magnemites, and the first one's Thunder Wave missed. The second one does get a Thunder Wave to land, but since this wasn't my first rodeo, we had a Paralysis Cure Berry, so we shrugged that off easily. Steelix is, of course, the monster of this challenge. We get Hypnosis to land, and Steelix stays asleep for a long time, and we get to spam Mudslap the whole time. Sure, it's not doing a lot of damage, but anything to lower the odds of Iron Tail hitting. But it was kind of a waste since as soon as Steelix wakes up, his first Iron Tail lands and deals a critical hit, one-shot. Well, that was going great until it didn't. I did give this battle multiple attempts, but we didn't really come close to having a strong start like the first one, which means Steelix has an easier time taking us out. Paralysis isn't a problem that much, but getting confused by Magnemite Supersonic and not having a strong move to take care of Steelix means we are just nowhere close to winning this battle. That and Iron Tail is not missing enough for us to get a lucky break to win. So we backtrack and head to Mahogany Town so we can take on Team Rocket at the Lake of Rage and Price at the Ice Gym. Which, like always, Team Rocket is not giving us issues here. We're just here to move the story along and get some extra experience. Not that I think we need it when it comes to Price, but again, we are having issues with Jasmine, so I'll take all the help we can get to beat her and move along in the game. But going back to Price, we easily take out Seal with Swift. Stomp also takes out Dugong easily too. We didn't one-shot it like we did with Seal, but we got a flinch from the first Stomp, so the second wrapped this exchange up quickly. Piloswine is last out, and we stick with Stomp. No flinch this time, but its Blizzard doesn't hurt much, so another Stomp gets us another badge in this challenge. So now we are back to facing Jasmine, and we are now at level 39. We lost the first attempt at this level, but the second attempt went much better. Mudslap is really close to one-shotting, but Magnemite is still hanging on, so it does get to paralyze us with Thunder Wave. But don't worry, we still have our berry to shrug off the paralysis. So another Mudslap takes this one out, and we move on to the second one. This one though actually does go down from one Mudslap, so we are facing Steelix at full health, and we are not paralyzed. But we have gotten to this ideal spot before and still lost, so we are still not out of the woods yet. Hypnosis lands on the first attempt, but I misclicked on the next turn and used Hypnosis again while Steelix is still asleep. So we wasted a turn there, but we get back to the game plan by spamming Mud Slap for little damage and lowered accuracy. Steelix does wake up after a few turns, but its Iron Tail misses, we get lucky with Hypnosis landing again, and we continue spamming Mud Slap uninterrupted. We are doing a really good job against Steelix to red health, and we expected the Hyper Potion from Jasmine at this point, but Steelix is still asleep and we keep our offensive streak going. Stomp isn't as useful as Mud Slap due to it being a normal move, and we can't make Steelix flinch if it's asleep, but it is the best attacking move we have at the moment. Steelix wakes up around this point and actually gets lucky enough to have an Iron Tail not miss. We handle this move better at this level, but the defense drop can be an issue. But we keep having extremely fortunate luck with Hypnosis not missing. We just keep on attacking, taking away little bits of Steelix's health, and before you know it, we have Steelix back in the red, and he wakes up at this point, but Iron Tail misses a second time, and our next stomp does enough damage to wrap this battle up for good. Okay, Jasmine wasn't as big of a roadblock in this challenge if you compare her to some of my other Gen 2 challenges, but it sure is nice to finally move on in this game. Which means we have more Team Rocket to deal with as they try to take over Radio Tower. Again, just like fighting them in Mahogany Town, they are not really putting up much of a fight, and the only thing we care about at this point of the game is the battle we have with our rival. His Golbat almost gets one shot by Stomp. I really thought it would go down in one hit. Getting confused by Confuse Ray is unfortunate considering we hurt ourselves on the next turn, and the critical hit wing attack is kind of crappy too. But after that, we take Golbat out with Swift. Magnemite follows, and we are still confused, but we were able to get a Mud Slap out that fortunately one-shots Magnemite. At least we don't have to worry about paralysis for this battle. Well, we still have to worry about Curse, because Haunter survived Mud Slap, but the Curse did take it out, which means we have one less Pokemon to worry about. That's a silver lining, I guess. Sneasel is also easy to take care of with Stomp, so Curse damage isn't getting us on this turn. While Lava also didn't survive Stomp, I kinda wasn't expecting a one-shot there. But you know what, I'll take it. Curse wasn't an actual concern at all for this battle. But moving on, and Claire might be? Look, I really don't know what to expect in this last badge battle before the Elite Four. We can't really learn an ice move, but we are a hard-hitting physical Pokemon. I think we can hold our own well in this fight, but I also kinda see Kingdra being a problem. Well, there's one thing I did forget to do before starting this battle that might bite us in the butt. I forgot to give Randolph a Paralysis Cure Berry. It's not really a problem when it comes to the first Dragonair, considering Stomp hits it hard, causes a flinch, and we take it out in the next turn. Actually, we dodged a Paralysis Bullet with the second one as well, since even though we didn't get a flinch with the Stomp on this one, its Thunder Wave just randomly missed, so we end this exchange with no status condition. Oh, the third Dragonair went down just like the first one thanks to another flinch, so maybe we didn't have to worry about Paralysis at all for this battle. With Kingdra, we played safe trying to put it to sleep with Hypnosis, but it misses. We do get a lucky break with its smokescreen failing, so we try this again, and this time it sticks. From there, we win this battle without a hiccup after a pair of stomps. Okay, real underwhelming way to end the Johto badge run, but this has been a pretty easy challenge for the most part. The Elite Four I don't think is going to be terrible. We are rocking very solid stats, and the only thing I'm a little nervous about is that we are a pretty bland normal type with very little type coverage. So having a type advantage is not something we can capitalize in these battles really. We are going to have to lean on hitting hard and taking hits, which is always something you need to rely on in challenges, but this is really the only way to go about these battles. Speaking of which, we actually for the first time in this challenge lost to our rival. Our downfall came from a mix of stats conditions. We were at one point in this battle paralyzed, confused, and afflicted with Curse. Despite all of that adversity, we did pretty good in this battle since we got all the way to Typhlosion at the end of the battle, with it also being in red health as we faint. Let's give this another go. We should be winning this battle at this level. Sneasel is a one-shot with Stomp. Golbat flinches from Stomp, so it's also a blip in this battle. We stick with our attacking plan when it comes to Magneton, which is different from how we have been dealing with Magnemite this whole challenge, since we have relied on Mud Slap this whole time with them, but using Stomp in this instance really paid off, since the Magneton flinched right on cue, and now we can use Mud Slap for the feint. Well, we are not paralyzed or confused, but will we get cursed? Mud Slap is still not a one-shot, but Haunter just uses Mean Look, so we get out of the exchange unscathed. Nothing can really stop us now in this battle. Stomp brings Kadabra and Typhlosion out quickly, so we can now really focus on the Elite Four. But first, let's look at our stats and moves that we are going to be working with to win these series of battles. We did make a slight change with the moveset before battling. In Victory Road we can find a TM for Earthquake, which I think is a better alternative to Mudslap, even though we no longer can subject our opponents to accuracy drops. Stat-wise, we are looking great. 135 attack is great and is going to be carrying us when it comes to Elite Four. I am nervous about the fact that our special defense is not in the triple digits, but I think we can still take a hit and be okay. I don't know what the speed stats are for our opponent's Pokemon, but I feel like we will be able to outspeed a lot of them here. Let's get going on battling. Well, Will is causing us some problems. We aren't getting absolutely demolished, but we are not winning either. We get to Will's last Pokemon, but we are just a little too beaten up to come out on top. I like to think we can still win this battle at this level. The first Xatu is another victim of our Stomp Flinch Swift combo. Jinx can't even handle one Stomp. Executor is almost a one-shot, but our critical hit falls just a little short. We come really close to being stuck with Leech Seed, but we evade the attack. It goes down from Swift, and then we focus on Slowbro. We get to Yellow with Stomp, and we handle Psychic well. Another Stomp and Slowbro is done, and now we're in a much better spot than we were last time we were in this battle. Of course, we could have been at 1 HP at this point because we outspeed and critical hit one-shot the other Xatu for the win. Now that's more like it. I like to think we could beat Koga in one go too. Okay, that didn't go as planned either. It was starting really good when it came to Ariados and Venomoth, but Fortress got a critical hit Swift and then its explosion spelled our end. Okay, maybe we take Fortress out before it blasts us out with Explosion? Earthquake did a lot of damage against Ariados the first time around, but it wasn't a one-shot, so in this attempt we go for Stomp, and not to sound like a broken record, but we do get another flinch, and that basically sets us up for another Pokemon down for our opponent. Venomoth just gets one shot from Stomp, so we are back to dealing with Fortress. Stomp is lackluster here, which makes sense since this thing is very solid defensively. Using Spikes is a wasted turn, and Earthquake looks like a better option when it comes to an attacking move here. Also, I will take getting hit by Swift instead of Explosion any day. Still, I do try to put Fortress to sleep with Hypnosis, but it misses. Twice. Luckily for us, we are just being subjected to Swifts this whole time, so we are still looking good health-wise. Third time is the charm when it comes to Hypnosis, and now we can move on to bringing this tank down. Of course, looking back, since one Earthquake was all that was needed for the knockout, we could have taken this guy down several turns ago instead of wasting all that time with getting Hypnosis to land. Anywho, Muck is next, and Earthquake is the obvious choice here as well. I knew that was going to be a one-shot. Crobat is last out. Earthquake is not helpful now. Hypnosis misses, and since Crobat responds with Double Team, we might need to rethink our strategy. Swift never misses, and it does a pretty good job taking Crobat into yellow health. We dodge a Toxic and use one more Swift to get the win. Okay, we have been facing some unfortunate losses followed by a successful second attempt. Can we get a first try win against Bruno? I know he has a type advantage, but I think we have enough firepower to surpass him. Guys, I was wrong again. Hitmontop goes down without landing a hit on us. Actually, the same can be said for Hitmonlee as well. Hitmonchan would be the same, except it did squeak in a Mach Punch since that is basically the fighting version of Quick Attack. It also survives Stomp, so we get hit by another Mach Punch, but we are still in the green when it goes down. Machamp is where we lose thanks to Hypnosis missing, and Machamp's Cross Chop does not. Second attempts have been giving us the win so far. Will this continue the trend? Hitmontop is another victim of the Stomp Flinch Swift combo. Hitmonlee goes down before it even can respond. Hitmonchan is still able to survive a Stomp and lands 2 rounds of Mach Punch. The problem with this attempt is I forgot to heal up before the start of the battle, so by the time we take Hitmonchan out, we are in yellow health. This is not looking good with Machamp out. Thankfully, we get Hypnosis to land this time around. As long as it stays asleep long enough, we can still win this thing. Whew, okay, 2 Stomps and we can move on now. To Onix, which Earthquake does a really good job against. So close for one shot, but now I just hope we survive whatever it's about to hit us with. Oh, Earthquake. Touché, Bruno. Touché. We take this move a lot better than Onyx just did. Swift might be a weak move here, but we really don't need to deal a lot of damage to get the win, so there you go. Let's get this battle of Karen started. Anytime I talk about these guys being easy first try victories, it never happens, so let's not dwell on it. Umbreon starts the battle like always, and this thing takes physical attacks pretty well. Stomp is our best move here, and this thing is still in the green after one hit. Sand Attack might bite us in the future, but for now we have Swift to help us deal damage reliably. 2 rounds of that move and we move on to Vileplume. Back to Stomp, and it does land, causing another flinch, and Swift lands as a critical hit to easily knock out Vileplume. Gengar is not as scary as it was when we were facing Morty. We have Earthquake now, so this thing doesn't really even stand a chance. Moving right along, and Murkrow is resistant to Earthquake, so that's a no-go. It is, however, frail defensively, so Stomp is a great placement to one-shot it with. Houndoom could be scary, but again, we have Earthquake and it missed. Well, we take our first hit of the battle here, which is Flamethrower. Our special defense is almost at 100 and we're still in the green after that move, so I think we're okay as long as we can get Earthquake to land. Okay, perfect. Second attempt did just that, and that one-shot gave us our first try victory against an Elite Four member in this challenge. Finally, I figured we'd be able to first try beat one of these guys. I guess Santa got my Christmas list after all. Now, I would love to keep this going when it comes to Lance, and we might be able to, but I could also see it taking several tries to actually take his dreaded team down. Yeah, it was the latter. Now, don't get me wrong, we don't look terrible. We put a really solid effort in this fight, and we knock out several members of Lance's team, and we don't get taken down easily. But in the end we lose, and the main problem we have in this battle is Dragonite's Thunder Wave. I forgot to grab a Paralysis Cure Berry for just such an occasion, and I don't want to quit the Elite Four and backtrack to grab one. But seriously though, Paralysis is spelling our end in all of these attempts. It is ruining our offensive efficiency, and since we are slower than Lance's team, we are being subjected to so many Hyper Beams, it's not even funny. Also, nothing is more infuriating right now than not being able to attack on a turn where one of Lance's Pokemon need to recharge after a Hyper Beam. That's the best time to get a jab and take them out. Okay, that's it. I can't take anymore. I leave the Elite Four, head back to Violet City, grab a Paralysis Cure Berry, head back to the Indigo Plateau, battle the Elite Four all over again, which really didn't take that long, honestly, and get back to battling Lance, but this time with our newly acquired berry. Is our new item a game changer? I mean, it does help in not being paralyzed, but we are still losing at this current spot. Part of the problem is we shrug off paralysis, but Dragonite just uses Thunder Wave on the next turn, so we are really just paralyzed but with extra steps. Using a berry in this battle is not going to be the end-all be-all solution for us to win this battle. We are most likely going to need some solid Hypnosis luck as well if we want to get the win here. Gyarados basically always does Rain Dance as its opening move, so we basically just stomp it twice and move on while still being at full health. The first Dragonite is now out and the first Hypnosis lands without a hitch. Stomp brings Dragonite to half health and another successfully takes it out. Dragonite number 2 follows, and this time we are not as lucky with our Hypnosis, but by an extreme stroke of luck, Dragonite's Thunder Wave also misses, so we give Hypnosis another go, and this time Dragonite falls asleep while we still don't have a status condition hanging over our head. We switch back to using Stomps, but Dragonite wakes up after the first one and immediately paralyzes us with Thunder Wave. But don't worry, because like I said, we got our berry, so this paralysis is removed instantly. This Dragonite is still in the green from that first Stomp, so I don't know if his second one will take it out, but I'm not going to waste a turn trying to put this guy to sleep. We stick with the offensive and it pays off as Stomp hits hard enough to bring this dragon down. Aerodactyl is sent out instead of the third Dragonite. Stomp doesn't hit as hard in this exchange, but we are also handling its wing attack well. Still, just to play safe, I put Aerodactyl to sleep with Hypnosis before I get back to spamming Stomp. Aerodactyl soon goes down and we are now face to face with Charizard. Stomp is back to being hard hitting and I will take a free flinch. We characteristically follow up with a Swift, and now we just have to worry about the third Dragonite. Great Hypnosis select right out of the gate of this exchange. It is really annoying that Lance wakes his Dragonite up right away, but we technically had him waste a full restore to do it, so I'll take that as a good thing. Stomp takes Dragonite to essentially half health, and we give Hypnosis another go, and yes, it lands. Okay, now Lance uses a full heal to wake Dragonite up. I feel like he should have used the full heal first and saved the full restore, but whatever. You are the Pokemon Master, but also your last Pokemon is in deep red health, and I'm about to take it out with Swift, so who is the Pokemon Master now? That's right, it's us. Merry Christmas, everybody. This was another thing that was on my Christmas list to Santa. This and a shiny Krabby. I'll explain that later. But yeah, we are now in the Hall of Fame, and that is the majority of the storyline. But like always, that's not all the storyline. We still have the Kanto portion of the game to focus on. Which, yes, means we have another 8 badges to get, and yes, the majority of them are real easy to deal with, so let's watch the finishing blows that sealed the wins against these gyms as we quickly make it to Blue, the gym leader that is worth talking about in these challenges. Oh, but before we get going on that battle, I also want to point out that I went through the extra trouble of getting the leftovers in Celadon City, along with the Psychic TM while we were there. I'm not going to teach it to Randolph right away, it's more of an option we are going to keep in our back pocket unless we absolutely need it. I also don't really do this, but I also made sure to grab the TM for Dream Eater while we were in Viridian City. We do give up our Christmas stars, I mean Swift, for this move, which stinks, but I don't want to give up any of our other moves. Now, I know, Hypnosis does not have the best accuracy, and it has let us down many times in this challenge. But I'm still going to go through with this combo because I want to get as much healing in these next 2 battles as we can get, especially when it comes to Red. But first, like I said, I need to focus on Blue. He always sends out Pidgeot first. Stomp does a lot of damage and then is copied by a Pidgeot's mirror move, so we are subjected to that attack as well. It hardly does anything to us, and we take out Blue's first Pokemon easily from there. Alakazam is next, and Stomp predictably leads to a one-shot. Rhydon causes us to switch gears with Earthquake. I was hoping for another one-shot, but I'm not mad about Rhydon still standing in the yellow. Rhydon decides to give us a taste of our own medicine by hitting us with its own Earthquake, but we withstand that well too. Another Earthquake, and we have made it through half of Blue's team. Stomp Flinch Stomp brings down Gyarados. Executor almost suffers the same fate, but it is still standing with a really tiny sliver of health left. It stupidly wastes its time charging up for a Solar Beam while we bring it down with Swift. Arcanine is last out, and we are back to using Earthquake. Not a one-shot, but Flamethrower barely hurts us, and oh, Blue pulled out a full restore. I forgot he has that. Well, Swift does beat him up enough for our next Earthquake to easily take out Arcanine. Solid into the badge run, but I'm not so sure we will have such an easy battle with Red at this level. This is one of the lowest levels I've seen us at when it comes to facing Red in these challenges. We will most likely have to grind if we want to win, but I'm going to see how things really shape up at this current level. Yeah, we are going to have to grind if we want to beat him. Part of the problem is we are basically at a speed tie with Pikachu, and if this thing hits us with Charm, then we are instantly in a bad spot since the majority of our offense centers around physical attacks. Pikachu is easy to take down though, but like most Red battles, he sends out Espeon after Pikachu, and usually that means Reflect is set up right away. This plus Charm makes it difficult to put away Espeon, but we do get around to doing that eventually. The real problem is, which some of you already saw coming, is Snorlax. It is a humongous brick wall defensively thanks to Charm, Reflect, and Amnesia if we can't take it out fast enough. With how well we're being stalled at this point of the battle, this big guy has a lot of time to wreck us, and its Body Slam is definitely putting in work to give us a quick exit to this battle. If we can put Snorlax to sleep with Hypnosis as soon as it comes out, then Dream Eater hits harder, but like always, Hypnosis can miss, and we do take damage from Snore when Snorlax is asleep. That doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does mean we are not 100% safe from attacks while we're using this strategy. The point I'm ultimately trying to make is we can't actually beat Snorlax at this level, and since we are basically underleveled anyway, we might as well admit that we have to grind. At first I had Randolph grind up 4 more levels to a nice flat level 70 and see how that went, but yeah, Snorlax is still an issue. We actually had one attempt where we did get past Snorlax and did well against Red's starter trio, but in the end, we still went down. That made me feel like a win is very much within reach, so we kept going at it. What's nice now is that we are faster than Pikachu, so we immediately get an Earthquake out and it easily one-shots the yellow rodent. Espeon is still faster though, so it puts up Reflect before we can put it to sleep with Hypnosis. This is slowing us down from taking it out with Stomp, but we are persistent and the last one lands as a critical hit. That was a nice little Christmas gift right there. Problem is, Snorlax is next, Reflect is still up, and our first Hypnosis against Snorlax misses. Oh, and Snorlax's first move is Amnesia, so now Dream Eater is weakened. I switch gears for some flinches from Stomp, it doesn't happen, and Body Slam is hitting us much harder. But we are not paralyzed. And second Stomp does cause a flinch on top of bringing Snorlax to half health. Leftovers is also little by little healing us each turn as well, so things are slowly looking good for us. Stomp is still coming in clutch here too, considering the next one lands another flinch and Snorlax is at real low health as well. One more Stomp successfully takes this major roadblock out of the battle. Now we just have to deal with the starter trio, and first is Venusaur. I immediately put it to sleep with Hypnosis, and then use Dream Eater to deal massive damage and get the heal up. After we reach full health, I switch Earthquake thinking it would deal a knockout, but it falls a little short. But Venusaur is still asleep, and Stomp helps us progress to Charizard. I go back to putting our enemy to sleep, but instead of using Dream Eater here, I am resorting to Stomp, which works really well in bringing Charizard down. Which means we just have to deal with Blastoise. Hypnosis is keeping its streak of not missing, as Stomp is a viable solution here when it comes to dealing massive damage to our opponent. Just like the other starters, Blastoise never wakes up, and we just stomp our way to victory. We did it, guys! We beat Pokemon Gold with just a Stantler. I hope this video did fill you with some holiday cheer. I've been meaning to do a Christmas holiday themed challenge for a while now, so I'm glad I finally got around to doing one. At first I was going to do Delibird, but it looked like it was going to be a brutal start. Well, to be fair, I have had worse starts and challenges than that. Who knows, maybe I will do that challenge next year. But yeah, I hope you guys like this challenge. I can't really remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure I got Pokemon Silver for Christmas one year as a kid, and that is easily my favorite Game Boy game ever. It was really nice to have a little bit of nostalgia during this time of the year. I think honestly we all need some of that when it comes to the holidays. I know for most of us, if not all of us, this can just as easily be a stressful time as it can be a joyous one. Some of us are stressed dealing with family this time of year. Some of us might be going through a rough time spending the holidays without a loved one for the first time. This part of the year can be a really rough and stressful period for some due to financial reasons. I hope something like this video helps and take your mind off of stuff like that. I pray that everyone has a wonderful and blessed end of the year, whether you celebrate anything or not this December. I hope we all have some truly wonderful moments spent with family and friends that we can remember fondly for years to come. And also, remember to be kind to yourself. You are very much loved in this world. Okay, I don't want to end this video on such a somber note. Enjoy some cookies, presents, Christmas lights, spin a dreidel, and partake in some traditions. Who knows, maybe Santa will gift you with a shiny Pokemon sometime in the upcoming year. Now, if you'll excuse me, I just need to squeeze in my little plug about my channel while I finish wrapping gifts. I do have other challenges, and I know I still have to release that challenge where I use Sydney's team in Generation 3, along with my other Gen 2 25th Anniversary Series videos. I'm still working on those, and they will be uploaded in hopefully the near future, so maybe check those out when they premiere if this video interests you. And maybe don't forget to like and subscribe for updates, and leave comments about what you enjoyed, what challenges you'd like to see in the future, and any suggestions for improving these videos. I always appreciate creative input. Thanks for watching everyone, and until next time, Geronimo, Merry Christmas, and Happy Holidays.